Good afternoon again. Long weekend. Hopefully today I'm going to go through a bit of training between 83 to 85. We're on about 83 at the moment, and this is to do with the desert of Oman. It's a follow-up to my Arabic course, which obviously I finished in reality not that long ago. So it was my turn to try and practice. Let me tell you what happened. Before that though, I'd like to see the t-shirt once again. They'll be up for grab shortly. However, if you want the masking, the matching face mask, these will be out as well shortly. All you have to do is keep an eye on our Facebook page, which at the moment is SAS Special Air Service Military Collectors and Facts page. Go and join. You don't need to be ex-military, you don't need to be ex-SAS. All we ask is that please, if you're a Walt, keep it to yourself, because we've exposed a number over the last few months since this started. We're nearly at 7,000 now on this page, which is extremely good. So I would actually ask you to visit, and 9 times out of 10 we will accept people. Simple as that. The ones that are dipsticks and don't come up to the mark, now we get rid of them fairly quickly after that. So I'm not going to go through a whole host of stuff today. What I'm going to do is I'm going to crack on with the Oman. Now, the first Oman trip for me would have been 81, but when I think back, I missed part of the first part of that trip. And the reason was, this is an interesting bit for you, is that the 3rd and 4th of February 1981 was when the inquest for the siege was on down in London. What happened? So a number of us had to stay behind and wait down in London whilst the inquest went on. The other interesting part of that is, of course, the 4th of February was my birthday. What's the chances of that? So we did the siege in 80, inquest in 81 on my birthday. Amazing. So once we'd finished that, then we were quickly whisked out to Oman to catch up with the rest of the squadron who were already out there deployed on training. So this was a chance, not only with a bit of Arabic under my belt, it was also a chance to do some jungle training, which I really enjoy. So with that aside, I'll go through it now. Think back to 1983. Well, 11 years before that, B Squadron 22 SAS were involved in the Battle of Mirbat. Some great friends in the squadron, B Squadron, my squadron. Okay, they were involved in that. 8 of them held off about 300 plus Adu, enemy, call them what you like. And it was quite a big battle for 8 guys. Respect to them before I do anything else. 11 years on, I'm going back there to the fort down at Mirbat to have a look. I'm going back to do some training in Oman, and a very, very good training area. And the Sultan of Oman, obviously very, very pro-British, and so he should be. Why wouldn't he be after what those guys did? So we've moved on. What we were going to do was just a multi-phase training exercise, and I'll go through them very quickly. I had a chance now to practice my Arabic whilst I was there. However, for anybody who knows that the people and the lads that we were working with out there wanted to practice their English on us. So you have to be fairly diplomatic on these type of training jobs. Speak a bit of Arabic, let them speak a bit of English, and vice versa. And that's how it went on. So, desert patrolling, obviously you go to the desert, you've got your vehicles. We didn't have our pinkies, unfortunately. We were mixing with the Baluchi from Baluchistan, part of Pakistan. They had all the vehicles. We integrated with them on their vehicles and part of patrols. And we watched what they did, and they watched what we did. However, they didn't like us driving for some reason. Can't think why. So that's the way it was. Hot, yes, unbelievably hot. All day out in the desert. Look forward to getting your head down at night. And, you know, patrolling the desert for long periods of time, you do start to see things. Everybody does. It's not a myth. But the actual patrolling side of it, obviously you're going to get stuck at time in sand dunes and stuff. It's all hard work. But nobody said it was going to be easy. You dig yourselves out, you've got your sand channels on the vehicles, and you go on. And that just happens day in and day out. Number two, not in any specific order, these SOP training, special standard operational procedure training. Obviously, you have SOPs and you adhere to them vehemently. Okay, they are there as a guideline for you to work from, and everybody knows what their job is and what they should be doing. We were no different. Standard operation procedures. That went on over the weeks we were out there, I think about a month. Obviously, medic and dental training. Whilst you're there, hearts and minds, for those who know what that means. You're in a country, you've got little villages dotted all over the place and not even on the map. What do you see on the map? It's sand, palm trees. But seriously, your navigation skills in the desert have to be spot on. There's not lots of landmarks, okay? There's no milkmen to ask while you're out there, for those who understand who the milkman is. So your navigation to these little remote villages, some of them with a few people, some with a few more, but they're all over the place. And whilst we're there, it was a chance for us to practice our medical skills, and including dentistry, which I'll give you a little story in a minute. And of course, the jungle drums beat, and you get a very good name, you know, that you're helping villagers. Sometimes probably never see a doctor, probably never see a dentist. But the guy that I'm going to tell you about, probably wish you'd never met Dr. Rusty or Dentist Rusty, because, yeah, he was ill and nobody could figure out what it was. Not just me, you know, until we got really close to him. You could smell his breath a mile away. And of course, it was his teeth. They were like a row of condemned houses. Absolutely shocking. He had toothache, more than one tooth by the look of it. So I laid him across the Land Rover seats with his head at the end, off the seat. And me and Dave, we had a look at him. And a couple of the other guys had a look at him and said, well, to be honest, not much we can do about that. Even if you try to extract the tooth, it's just going to crumble to death. So we give him the placebo and painkillers. That helped, but it wasn't long-term help. But there again, we weren't there for long-term help for him. but we did help him as best we could before we disappeared into the desert again. And this went on throughout, you know, wherever he went. There'd be people coming over, saying hello, give them some of the sweets that you got in the compo rations, and one, you know, village to village, and that type of thing went on all the time. Then the sort of, if you like, the more exciting training for us, you know, the live firing with the GPMGs, general purpose machine guns, etc. As much ammunition as you could fire, basically, everybody's dream. And then the FAC, the forward air controller, where you have targets in the desert and you bring the jets in from wherever the jets are. They come in, engage the targets, disappear into the distance, as if you would. For example, at Merbat, they had the jets at the end to help them out. And that's exactly what their training was for. What if it ever happened again? What if? What if? And that was one of ours. What if? And we always tried to find out the bigger picture. So, very interesting. We also got hooked up with the pilots that flew the aircraft in the main that I dealt with were the strike masters, and the pilots were Rhodesian seconded pilots to the Sultan of Oman Special Forces. Tremendous guys, absolute respect. You never seen a cooler bunch of guys wandering around with their aircraft and stuff. And then, yeah, you can imagine once we got with them, there was, do you want to come for a flight? 2-seaters, you see. We should, yeah, let's get out there. Christ almighty, I'm not frightened of much. But actually, these guys were something else. They let you fly the plane once it was up, okay, because they're 2-seaters. They've got control, obviously, at the end. So you're not going to go hurtling in, you wouldn't think. But they're quite happy, sat there with a map. Just, or whatever, you know, they're absolutely top class. But health and safety, you know, the old health and safety. Let me give you the brief, okay? Pilot to Rusty, and probably the rest of the guys. You see that handle between your legs where you're sat? If I shout eject, you pull that hard. He said, I won't be there a second time to tell you. That was it. Put your hands on the handle and we'll take off. Go for a fly. That was the brief. That was it. Nothing simpler. No complications. Remember, KISS, K-I-S-S. Keep it simple, stupid. Well, it did. And you can't forget something like that. All in my book, The Regiment, 15 Years in the SAS. I'm just skipping through little bits of it to give you an idea of what we got up to. So there was fun, excitement. Never flown the Strike Master before, but I did there. And then we flew down over the fort at Merbat, as it would have been all those years ago when the lads were down there, engaging the bad guys. Tremendous. Absolutely nothing but respect for all of those guys. Also, remember in some of the earlier videos I've done, I mentioned the John Mac friendship and stuff, Stu, and quite a few of the other lads. Thumrake Camp in Oman was one of the centres where we were based there, working out from there. You know, on a daily basis. However, when we were back in there, it had its own contained bar and, best of all, the snooker table. So we used to get on there to play snooker, me and John and a few of the lads, and we did it regular. Great. Hard day out, total relaxation at night when you came in, or sometimes you're out for more than one day, obviously, but this is in between. We had a break. And that was the Thumrake Camp. However, as normal, prior to going home, there'd be some form of piss up somewhere. Well, we had, first of all, the Special Forces Officers' Mess. We were allowed into that. And of course, I think I've mentioned it somewhere before, disaster. Big boys milkshakes. I've had people trying to tell me what that is since 1983. I've never tried to make one. I think I had enough when I was there. But the lads in the mess, a lot of them, ex-SAS, etc., they were the instructors out there, big part of the scene in those days. They made them for us, and by God, they work. Big boys milkshake. Anybody got the recipe for disaster? And then, last of all, we met all the pilots and stuff, and we had a bit of a piss up down on the beach. A lot of home truths being passed around, a bit of finger pointing, nothing serious. And then it was time to puffo, pack up and fuck off, and get ready to go back to the UK. Another month thereabouts gone. Tremendous training area, respect for everybody there, great country, love the country, and of course we had a very good time, and B Squadron had a very good name there. They were to go there many more times. So really, that's my today on Oman. As far as speaking my Arabic, yes, it was broken. Not as much as I wanted to, but hey, some people don't get the chance at all. So I'm just glad I did get the chance. And certainly, anybody ever thinking of visiting that place, get yourself down to Mirbat as well and have a look at that fort. So with that, guys, I'll wrap up for today. I've got another one coming shortly, another video that is, and I hope you enjoy that one as well. So don't forget the t-shirts, don't forget the masks, and who dares wins.